down show open thing in a second. But for the last 21 minutes, people were like, where are they? And I keep seeing little like bursts of us showing up on YouTube. Eagle-eyed viewers may notice that the bottom of the screen says Zoom. It's been a night for technical gaffes, and I just thought maybe we would vent off the top, get that off our chest, then launch into the show cleanly. I'm happy to hear that you're no longer sounding like you're at the beach while you're in your apartment.
Yeah, I was having some issues on the old restream form that we normally like to do. So I don't know what happened, but we got over here to Zoom and it doesn't sound like I'm at the ocean. So
No, it
trying to
sounds
work
like you're
that
low.
out.
It sounds like you're low on bandwidth, but it no longer sounds like you're at the ocean. So I'm just going to accept that. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
Frank Strait has messaged us oh my God, my computer is doing a BIOS update.
and I'm not sure what that means, but it sounds difficult. So, speaking
wait, here
of,
comes Frank. Hey, Frank, we are live. This is like a pregame, a belated pregame. We were getting all of our technical vents out before we started the show cleanly. How's your BIOS? Is it feeling fresh, shiny, and new?
Yes, it is feeling shiny and new.
You were that like a robot. My update went swell. Thanks for asking.
No, it really did not go swell. It was really quite aggravating and profanity inducing. But
Frank's
it's
like,
done now, and I'm here.
Frank's like, my computer's not working. Let me just do a quick restart. Windows update screen.
if you don't know, South Carolina has had some very weird circumstances going on this week where we lost an F-35 fighter jet.
Yeah, I think we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk
Evidently,
about that.
At one point, some of our Congress folks thought it was actually floating in the sky. So who knows what's going on here in South Carolina? That's why the internet may be so.
Yeah.
Are we actually streaming live now? Or
we are actually streaming, but I hadn't actually started the show yet. Yeah, don't drop any F-bombs or anything.
Okay, I wasn't dropping any F-bombs. Not that I haven't been thinking about a lot of them over the last 15 minutes, but
yeah, I understand. I figure we'll get this out of the way. This is like therapeutic, so that when we start to when I actually roll the open and we put the podcast out tomorrow, we'll just take it from the open, and this is just us vamping with our friends on Facebook and YouTube.
Does the pre-show?
The pre-show. This is the pre-show. This is the pre-show. Should I roll? Go ahead.
What I was actually thinking was, now we know what happens when you let a jarhead drive an F-35. It ends up, flying on its own for 60 miles.
Literally flying on its own.
All right.
South Carolina and aviation events is something else.
Mm-hmm.
Spy balloon, fighter jets. We've had 2 or 3 plane crashes here in Myrtle Beach. Just out in the ocean with Banner planes. So, yeah.
No UFOs yet, but it's still just September.
They're not called UFOs anymore. They're called anonymous phenomenon apparatuses.
Now, speaking of that, I definitely wasn't paying attention today during our noon newscast, but evidently we ran a story about
UAPs. Your mic dropped out.
Oh yeah. Oh, they ran a story about some aliens.
Yeah,
I wasn't paying.
Unidentified aerial phenomena. That's what the government wants us to call it now.
and apparently they don't like us talking about it because they keep cutting Scotty's mic out every time that he tries to talk about it. So apparently Scotty knows something, and they know he knows, and they don't want everybody else to know.
This is going to be a show. Should we do this? Should we do it for real now?
Roll the intro, James.
It's Wednesday, September 20th, 2023. We are streaming live. At least we think we are. On YouTube, Facebook, and the other platforms of the Carolina Weather Group. Coming up, the latest on a potential coastal storm. What happened to that F-35? Is Mother Nature to blame? And NASA with a big mission coming home this weekend. All that and more this week on the Carolina Weather Group. We hope. Following a meltdown of our computers, James Brierton in Charlotte with Scotty Powell in Myrtle Beach and Frank Strait in Columbia, South Carolina. Welcome to this edition of the Carolina Weather Group. And thanks to you, our Patreon supporters. Names scrolling across the bottom of the screen, new names like Art K, who's joined us recently. We appreciate your support. You can join us at patreon.com/Carolina Weather Group to help pay our bills and also be entered into a exciting contest. More on that coming up later on in the show. But we want to get right to this week's big story. A potential coastal storm developing off the coast of the Carolinas could bring gusty winds, heavy rains, and just an all-out yucky time to the Carolina coast this weekend. As of the 8 p.m. advisory on this Wednesday night from the National Hurricane Center, this disturbance off of the southeast coast has a 10% chance of development into a tropical system in the next 48 hours and a 40% chance in the next 7 days. Whatever it is that could happen, here's just one take on it as we look at the GFS model, courtesy of Tropical Tidbits, everyone's favorite tropical site. You can see the GFS has this kicking up right there offshore, and it's going to be bringing it right on over the eastern half of North Carolina as we look ahead to Saturday. But there's a lot to digest still about when, where, how, and what. So let's go to Myrtle Beach. Scotty Powell, who will be potentially in the thick of this if it were to come together. Scotty, what's your latest thoughts on this Wednesday night?
Well, let's hope you can hear me first.
I think we can hear you.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Better
That's
than
a
the
good
pre-show
start.
so far, anyway.
Yeah, so we've been watching this actually for about a week or so. We kind of, looking last week, seeing the potential for some sort of tropical development starting last week. So this system just now moving off the coast of Florida and starting to get some of its organization off of the southeast coast. And so what I'm going to do, James, I'm going to share my screen here.
Good luck with that.
Let's see. Hopefully it works.
It's going to be lots of jokes during this show, folks, about the amount of technical difficulties we had before the show. But I think we got your screen. Go ahead, Scotty.
All right. So you're seeing a multi-view. I don't know how to get it up. You can see over here, this is our sea level pressure. And so I'm going to put this into play here and kind of show you the differences. Jane was showing you the GFS and the European model as well. So the GFS is the black area. The European model is the white area. You can kind of see Friday morning, the central pressure is kind of located in the same area. GFS showing it a little bit stronger than the European model. But as we go throughout the day, you can kind of see the European model kind of just meanders off the South Carolina coast, where the GFS continues to get a little bit stronger and looks to move into eastern North Carolina, maybe towards the Topsail Island, Jacksonville area, just north of Wilmington, making, quote unquote, landfall near Morehead City, where the European model still at 1 o'clock is off the coast, but still in the same general direction of where the GFS is wanting to take it. So there was a lot of questions of where the exact track would be with this storm. And it looks like at least our long-term models have kind of honed in on this track being in eastern North Carolina. And as we go throughout Sunday, that leads. So this is the future cast of that with our low pressure. This is the GFS model. But I wanted to show you our in-house model here with the Barron product. And you can kind of tell them. Let's get through the GFS first. Our Barron product here is showing a little bit more of a different picture as we're starting to see some of that rain kind of push in a little bit more to coastal South Carolina. But again, a lot of that rain staying just to the north into northern North Carolina. So with that, rainfall totals could be very sparse here along the Grand Strand back into the PD. You can see hardly any rainfall at all.
That's incredibly sparse.
And then you look at our in-house model, picking up on maybe more, a little bit more rain, an inch to maybe an inch and a half. And again, so I want to stress with you, it's still dependent on where this low pressure tracks. It's yet to form yet. It's starting to get its act together, but it's not formed yet. So until we get that actual formation, a shift in 25, 50 miles can mean a big difference in a lot of locations. And one thing I also want to point out is no matter where this low pressure develops at, the wind speeds are going to be pretty gusty as well. Let's go over to that. Right,
I like this behind the scenes look at how a TV meteorologist controls his graphics.
Yeah. So this is a perfect example. We'll kind of slow this down a little bit here. This was my today. So you kind of see as we go throughout the day Friday, the wind gusts could be anywhere between 30 to 35 miles per hour. Kind of weakens a little bit Friday night, but then late Friday night into Saturday morning, as that low pressure really starts to ramp up, you can see some wind gusts anywhere between 40 to 45 miles per hour along the coast. Back along the PD, you can even still see some wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. And you take this even up into the Charlotte area, we could see some 20 to 25 mile per hour wind gusts as well. So I think the big story from this, when all said and done, may not be the rainfall, just maybe the gusty winds. Now, I don't think this will do any widespread damage or anything, but if you are along the coast, you'll definitely notice the winds picking up Friday into Saturday. And another concern would be the potential for some marine issues out there. As you can see, many clicks. Back to this. This is our marine issue. So you can see 15 to 25 mile per hour winds with our waves 3 to 5 feet on Thursday, waves 4 to 6 feet on Friday, back to 3 to 5 feet on Saturday, and then the wind gusts you can see on Friday, pretty gusty across the area. So kind of putting a bow on the weekend. If you are heading to the Grand Strand, this is kind of what we're expecting right now. Clouds increase tomorrow evening with isolated showers. Friday looks to be the rainiest day here along the Grand Strand and in the PD. We could see, again, a lot of rain or a little bit of rain. You saw the model discrepancies there. We're still waiting for that to kind of get ironed out. Saturday morning, we start to see some showers and the windy conditions start to give way to Sunday, where we're going to see a little bit more sunshine, maybe an isolated shower early Sunday morning, but all in all, Sunday looks to be pretty good across the area. So that's kind of the wrap up of what we're expecting here along the Grand Strand. It's not going to be anything, I don't think, memorable by any means, but I think the big story here will be the gusty winds Thursday night through Friday night into the part of Saturday. And again, we saw the rainfall spread. We could see nothing, or we could see at least an inch. We're still trying to hone that in. It all depends on the track of that low pressure.
I want to get Frank's thoughts in just a moment. Thank you, Scotty. First, I want to just show a little bit of a wider view to what Scotty was just showing from Myrtle Beach. And this is just what the National Weather Service's WPC, the Weather Prediction Center, shows, which is that we could see 4 to 6 inches of rain, especially as you make your way north and to the east of Myrtle Beach, so all along that outer banks of North Carolina coastline. And then Scotty mentioned the winds. And again, here is just one model. This is a GFS model. This is not at surface. This is 925 millibars, so we're a little above surface here. But we can see that this low could track right along that eastern North Carolina area and bring with it some gusty winds, as Scotty just mentioned. Frank, let me get your takes on this, because Scotty just said it might not be a memorable storm, but I can't help but think, after all of the examples we've seen since 2020 of rapid intensification, do you think it might be memorable not because of its impacts, but just because of what tricks it might have up its sleeve over the course of the next 48 hours?
Well, that may be. One of the things that is concerning me about the situation is that the waters are still pretty warm right off the southeast coast, 3 or 4 degrees warmer than usual, especially out over the Gulf Stream waters where this thing's going to be forming. So that means there's more energy available in the waters for this thing to put to use and to try to wind up. So I am concerned, for one, that it ends up being stronger than what some of the models are calling for. I mean, the GFS, I guess, maybe could be a reasonable worst case scenario with it taking that pressure down to around 990 millibars. That would be almost hurricane strength potentially, if it were a tropical cyclone anyway. Not saying it will be, but that and the fact that some of the models, especially the mesoscale models, we don't have it. We're not running any hurricane models on it right now, which I find that a little disappointing at this point that it's not
Yeah.
been declared an invest so that we can actually see what the hurricane models would do with it. But the mesoscale models, the grid models like the NAM and the 3 kilometer NAM and HRRR and the new RRFS was being run experimentally. They're all a little further west, especially that RRFS, which has been kind of been a pretty good model, even though it's just experimental. So I'm worried that it may go a little further west than we think, and maybe end up being a little surprising in that respect too. I mean, who knows? The thing hasn't even formed yet. We don't even have a low pressure center yet. Until we do, we're not going to get good output from the models. So we're flying a little bit blind here in terms of guidance and flying a little bit more on gut feeling than anything else right now. But this thing certainly could have a lot of tricks up its sleeve, just because it's one of these sneak attacks that forms right off our coast along an old stationary front, and the water's really warmer than usual. And I think there will be surprises. I'm just not sure what they will be yet.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a position where, although it's only a 40% chance that this could develop into a tropical system over the next couple of days, which really means it has a better chance of not forming into a tropical system.
Right.
Like, I'm just so tired of being surprised that I just assume it's going to at this point. What was that one that formed? Was it Beta? What was the one that formed off of Charleston like 2020, like almost out of nowhere? I'll figure it out.
That was it. The first one, Danny, or not Danny? That was 21.
Literally developed right over Charleston.
It just like we went from
six
0
6 hours.
Oh, that was. Are you thinking of Colin from last year?
I think Colin is probably one of the examples my brain is thinking of.
Yes. Yeah, that was a weird one that formed east of Savannah and then became a tropical cyclone very quickly and went right over Charleston.
Mary watching
was
with us
over land. The first advisory, it was centered over land.
Yeah, surprise. Mary on YouTube says, I would not be shocked if it got a name. I guess we'll wait and see. I just the muscle memory now is just to expect rapid intensification, as Lee was a prime example of that. Frank, you had Alphabet Soup a minute ago when you talked about the models, and I'll give you this question here from Wes Clark, who asks, over the years, have you found the GFS or European models more accurate, or are they useful for unique situations?
Yes.
Thanks. Super helpful.
The models, my favorite thing to say about the models is that they're going to be wrong about something, and sometimes they're wrong about everything. Kind of almost a paraphrase of some other quotes I've heard about models in general in the past. But as far as what models do the best and which ones aren't so great, the European model has a tendency to do better overall, but that doesn't necessarily apply to every situation. It seems like the GFS catches developments a little bit better than the Euro, but that may be because it shows more developments in general than the Euro and gets a lot of spurious ones. It's like it's like a marksman that hits the target more often because he has 100 more bullets than everybody else.
Takes more shots. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think in years past I got really trained in on the European models, and I was starting to buy into that that theory, that impression, that branding, whether it was true or not, that the European model was always better. Yeah, but then they made improvements to the GFS, and they closed the gap.
There was a time that it really was King Euro, and the Euro was the best model, period, and it's the one you relied on. And the GFS, there were a few situations like with a sheared tropical cyclone, often did better than the Euro.
Yeah,
but 90% of the time you were going to get a better forecast by following the Euro, the GFS. That was 5 years ago. The GFS has gotten better and has closed the gap. The Euro still overall is a better model, but it's not way better anymore. So, and that's even more true with the Canadian model. The Canadian model used to be a laugher model 10 years ago. Today, it's actually a pretty good model, especially when it's showing sort of a middle ground between the other models.
Good analysis. We will wait to see what happens. We'll keep you updated on our social media platforms. Thanks to Wes Clark for that question. Wes has been a Patreon supporter of our show since January, which means that he's in the running for our current contest, which is that we will be giving away Superfan memorabilia to one of our patreon.com/Carolina Weather Group fan supporters come the end of October. In that care bag, you'll get a hat, brand new hat. It's still in its plastic. We've got a brand new tumbler that says Carolina Weather Group, also still in its plastic. And then we'll be throwing in some vinyl little die cut stickers. So you have until the end of October to sign up at patreon.com/Carolina Weather Group, starting at just $1. If you want to be in that running, great for you, or maybe great for a loved one ahead of the holiday season. If you want to try to get some swag, you can enter to win, or you can support us anytime by clicking on the QR code currently on your screen right now to buy your own memorabilia on demand. Maybe pick out your own colors. Did you guys know you can get the hats in like camo and hot pink, and you can change the colors if you buy them yourself. Otherwise, we're sending you a blue one. You want a hot pink one?
Yeah.
Okay. Coming your way for the holidays. Let's shift gears here, guys. And we had a very weird phenomenon in the Carolinas once again this past week, and no, it was not the cat, but the cat is back. The cat does not come with the prize pack. Just to be clear.
No kittens with the prize pack.
Yeah, just for legal distinctions, I needed to make sure I pointed that out.
This is Stormy, by the way.
Stormy,
and she is a complete lunatic. She'll play very hard, chasing toys until she pants like a dog.
A cat who thinks she's a dog.
Sometimes, I guess so.
Well, since we last saw you last week, we have both lost and found a military F-35, as you probably have heard by now, and I'm going to play some lovely military-provided file footage of what this bad boy looks like. This guy went missing over South Carolina at a Joint Base Charleston, and there was quite the search for it for a period of a day or so until it was finally found. We don't know what happened. I want to be very clear. We, James, Scotty, Frank, don't know what happened. The general public,
correct.
We don't know what happened. If the military has made a conclusion, they haven't shared it with us. But that hasn't stopped the rest of us from playing Sherlock Holmes, because we all want to know what happened, and we're all impatient. And so we have all turned to what material was available: flight trackers, radars, so on and so forth. My restream just crashed. I kid you not. I think we're still streaming. This show is just cursed from the get-go.
Oh my
Let's see.
gosh, technology.
Let's see. I think we're still there. Okay. Hi, everybody. For those of you who might be listening back to the show on demand, we were 20 minutes late to starting because we all had technical difficulties and our whole system just blipped again. So I'm going to keep going as if we're still live, because
yes, we are still going. I just checked on YouTube. We're going.
Fabulous. So F-35 goes missing. We don't know what happened, but there are some theories floating around that weather could have at least played a role in this. Is it going to actually screen share this time, or am I going to break it again? Let's find out. So Chris Jackson, friend of the show, listened back to available audio communications from air traffic control. He looked at what flight data was available. He looked at METAR data, and he has kind of like zeroed in on this little mesocyclone that was on radar at the time of disappearance. So again, I'm stressing to everyone, and I think if Chris was here, he would say the same thing. We're all just speculating based on what's available to us. But what do you guys think, Frank and Scotty? Do you think weather could have played a role in the disappearance of this F-35 this past week over South Carolina?
No, I think we just let a Marine fly a jet, and I think that's the problem.
Human error is, I think, what we'll summarize that theory as.
Right.
Okay.
I know I was coming back from Bristol, Tennessee, so I know there were storms in the area, and I saw Chris's tweet and read an article. It seems like there was weather in the area. I'm not sure how much of a factor that was, but anytime you put a plane in the weather, there's a possibility of seeing something unfortunate happen.
Yeah, I've learned a lot in this past year about trying to track military aircraft, and I'm referring back to our Chinese air balloon that made its way over to Myrtle Beach. You know, we couldn't track the same way we would track an aircraft, a fighter jet, but we could track its support aircraft. So when we had the balloon incident, you know, we couldn't track the fighter jets, but we could track the resupply planes that were up there. And it was kind of the same thing with the
I tracked the
search.
fighter jets. I saw them. Come on now, James.
You tracked them with your own eyes. They came to you.
Right.
You stood out on the beach and said, "Come to Papa." It was just interesting this week to look at Flight Tracker and watch the Civil Air Patrol. There were some military aircraft that were showing up on Flight Tracker that we could kind of see them doing the search patterns over South Carolina. They came all the way up into Chesterfield County, right up to that North Carolina line, I think, trying to figure out how far this plane could have just cruised on autopilot. It's remarkable. There's still lots of unanswered questions, some political and some not, about how we can just misplace a piece of military equipment. But
$80 million.
Yes, an expensive one.
You know, I kept hearing it's stealth, and clearly it was.
I think I don't know if it's funny or not, but like listening about this, I didn't know that we had planes that could vertically land themselves until.
Oh, like on aircraft carriers.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't know that either.
Until I learned that this plane is capable of, or jet is capable of doing that.
You know, I don't know if it's funny or not either, but I will just share a little tidbit about my personality is I try to laugh at all sorts of things and it helps keep me sane. So if I'm seeing lighthearted about it, it's just because that's easier than thinking too hard about it.
Yeah, we get all kinds of emails in the newsroom. As you know, James, you know, you see a little bit of everything. And so when this happened, you're getting all these comments from everybody. And one of them, I can't remember who it was or what organization, but they're like, we don't know if the plane's in a lake or if it's still floating in the sky. You know, like
right.
we don't know where it's at. And, you know, you're just like, you kind of step back and you think, man, that's kind of crazy that there's this plane that nobody knows where it's at.
This is what's smelly about the.
Kind of remind me of the TV show Manifest. Do you remember that plane that just disappeared for?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Frank.
This is what's so confusing and weird about this situation in general. It's like, yeah, I get it's a fighter jet and it's a stealth fighter, so it's difficult to track by radar, but it wasn't like on an actual mission. It was on a training mission of some sort, right? Why wouldn't it have had a transponder turned on? You know, they got them.
I don't know. It's a good question.
And also, I mean, these things, yes, they're hard to pick up on radar, but they're not completely invisible. They're going to pop up on radar every now and then, just like they would on an enemy's radar. It's just that you're not going to get a consistent signal from them. You would think that it would. I mean, maybe it was flying so low it was below the radar beams. That happens with precipitation too. I mean, there's there's explanations, but still, you'd think that every now and then, there's a blip over there, and it wasn't there on the next sweep.
Remind me the next time there's a congressional hearing about why we need better weather radar in the Carolinas. I'm going to be like, it'll be better for tracking rain and tornadoes. Oh, and missing fighter jets.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like I said, I don't have any of the answers, and I know none of us have the answers, but I could not address the elephant in the room of the missing F-35. So.
And like you said, though, South Carolina has been the aviation. You know, we've had the tracking balloon and then this. I know here in Myrtle Beach, we've had a banner plane that's crashed in the ocean, had another plane that landed on Highway 22 for emergency landing. There was, unfortunately, a fatal accident around the 4th of July in North Myrtle Beach. So we don't know what it is with South Carolina and the coast, but there's been a lot of aviation mishaps this year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's almost like Florida Man. Now it's Palmetto Pilot instead of Florida Man.
Yeah.
Florida, right. Well, let's do one more topic here before we go, and I would try to play music for it, but that would probably just knock out power to the entire.
Yeah, let's not take any chances tonight.
Yeah, let's just not do that. But we wanted to talk about one cool, exciting space thing that's happening this Sunday. OSIRIS-REx is returning home years after liftoff, and its trip out to, guys, it's so cool. It landed on an asteroid. It collected samples from the asteroid, all a part of our human exploration for knowledge to understand how the universe formed. And now it's returning home, and it's going to be touching down Sunday morning. We'll have live coverage of it here on the Carolina Weather Group with our friend Candace Jordan from the Shield Museum in Gastonia, North Carolina, streaming right here on the Carolina Weather Group at 10 a.m. And these samples will be coming home for scientists to get a closer look at. On our live stream right now, you can see what this thing looks like, how it punched a hole in Bennu, collected asteroid samples. It's been making its way back home, and it's going to, not too dissimilar from the way that astronauts return home with a heat shield and a nose cone and all that jazz, descend down, parachute down, and hopefully we'll get these bad boys recovered. But guys, this is really cool. It's been, again, years in the making. I want to say it was 2017 that I think this thing launched. And you got to be a patient person to work in space flight. 2016 is when it launched, September 8th, 2016. So it'll be coming home. You guys think you'd have the patience to work a space mission like this?
One like this, maybe, although it would take a lot of patience. What would really take a lot of patience is if you're on the command crew for the Pioneer and Voyager probes today.
Oh,
you send them a command, and then it takes a day and a half for that to get to the probe, and then like a day and a half to get back to you to know that I don't know if it's that long, but it's a long time that it takes the radio signal, which travels at the speed of light, to go those billions of miles.
And that's the one
past Pluto's orbit and back.
I would say that's the one we had lost contact with, right? Because they had sent earlier in the year, they sent, hey, mistakes happen. We all make mistakes at work. Somebody had sent a bad command, knocked it offline, and then we had to wait patiently for it to do its routine reboot. I mean, good thing that somebody scheduled that bad boy to restart, and it didn't have to do a Windows update and a BIOS update. Otherwise, we'd still be waiting for Frank to turn this over.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, patience is required for just because of the communication time involved, even if it's just a probe going to Mars. That's like 8 minutes for the signal to get to the spacecraft, and another 8 for it to get back, for a response to get back to you. So it's like you're sitting there, this probe's approaching Mars, and you're afraid, oh, did I remember to convert meters to feet or feet to meters for that? And
I wish that wasn't an actual example, Frank. I would be okay if we just all converted to the metric system. It makes more sense. But you mentioned Mars, and you mentioned about things that are remote control, and we had new news this week from the Mars helicopter which broke a new flight record on its 59th Mars flight. I think it went higher and further than it ever had before, and that was another piece of equipment that we thought we had lost. But the little chopper rose 66 feet, 20 meters into the air. That bad boy is really cool too.
Now you see, we can do that calculation in our head. Why can't actual rocket science?
I read it.
Sorry,
I read it. I know I'm on a weather show, which makes me like a nerd, but I have a degree in journalism, which means I can't do math. Comes with the territory. But we do hope we see everybody Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Scotty, will you be with us? No, you're going to be on your morning show.
I'll be on the morning show. Yeah, you tune in to WBTW. We go off air at 9. I have a little stuff I have to do afterwards, but then you can go check out the show here on the Carolina Weather Group.
Yeah, Cyrus Rex landing, 10 a.m.
You could tune in Saturday morning to see him getting thrashed by a storm with no name.
Oh, actually, Saturday night, I'm supposed to play in a golf tournament Saturday morning, so I'm waiting to see how that's fares. Not sure how that's going to work out, but
could conceivably get rescheduled, huh?
Yes, I'm hoping so.
Frank, what's worse, a storm with no name or a horse with no name?
Ask me again on Sunday.
Okay.
All I know is it's good to get out of the rain.
We have some good news here in Myrtle Beach. I don't know if we've shared this yet. I've shared it internally with you all. I gave you a little secret here. But next year, the AMS Broadcast Conference, Weather Conference, is going to be hosted here in Myrtle Beach in the second week of June. So all of the weather elites from around the United States and probably the world too. I'm sure there'll be some folks probably coming in other countries as well. Gathering here in Myrtle Beach. So a lot of fun activities planned for that. I'm thinking if we can get James and Frank and a few others down here, maybe we can do some live,
yeah, we'll need to
shows
all
out
converge
there.
on Myrtle Beach and do
Yeah.
The word to
A
describe it
live
escapes me.
podcast.
Yeah, a group podcast there.
Yeah. On location. So
A crossover. That's what I was
a
looking. That was the word I was
crossover
looking
event. Yeah.
Yeah. Crossover.
You know,
event.
it's funny you say crossover, and I'm going to use that as a segue. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say just yet, but I will say that everyone should mark their calendars for Saturday, November 18th, 2020. That's Saturday, November 18th, 2020.
Brad Panovich's birthday.
Is it?
20. Mark
I
the
think it
calendar
is,
for
honestly.
2020 as in 3 years ago.
No.
You did
As
say
in-
2020.
I did. I meant
2020.
2020.
It's been a night,
2023.
y'all.
Is this show over yet?
I don't want to go back to 2020. I'm sorry.
No. I had enough of that crap back in the day. I had enough of 2020. No more 2020, please.
Okay. Saturday, November 18th, 2023, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. It's going to be fun. That's what I got.
Mhm.
I'm also trying to talk James into to us doing another live remote from Charlotte Motor Speedway in a couple of weeks with the last round. Let's see, last race of the second round of the NASCAR playoffs. It's going to be in Charlotte. We did that back in the Coke 600. I don't know, James. They may not want us there because they didn't finish that race in Coke 600 till midnight Monday, almost going into Tuesday.
I don't think we brought the rain.
They may be like, wait.
We've done one show live from Charlotte Motor Speedway,
Good
and
thing-
it happened
good
to
thing-
rain. But
good
how many
thing
other
is-
weekends did we not show up and it still rained?
You're right. And good thing is it's the Roval. It's a road course so they can race in the rain. As long as there's no lightning. Don't bring the
Or-
lightning.
Or unidentified flying objects?
Yeah. Don't bring your drones over the speedway.
No,
That's
please
illegal.
don't.
That's probably a bad idea. Yeah. So is this
I'm
a
gonna-
race with no name, or is there actually
That's
a?
the Bank of America Roval 400.
No, it's a race with an expensive name. Somebody cut a large check for that, Frank.
Yeah.
Imagine so.
I'm gonna go now, and I'm gonna stop this show before
James is going
anything
back to
else comes-
2020 for everyone.
No, that is so. I mean, I did hear today that you can order free COVID tests once again through the federal government. So there's my public service announcement for today, and I'm hoping
Yeah.
that's as close to 2020 as we get.
Yeah. I actually have recently had a coworker that was sick with COVID again. So
You're not alone.
it's going around again.
It is. So you can order free tests. Hey, free is free.
You
That
can also
does
get free weather information,
it. CarolinaWeatherGroup.com.
but we'd prefer you to be a patron.
We do.
That's right.
We do.
You can put yourself in the running again for a new hat.
Yeah,
A
hat.
tumbler. And one of the cool vinyl stickers that I
Yeah.
still don't have.
Yeah, I mean, this is more stuff than Scotty has. So
I don't have a tumbler or a sticker. I do
this.
have a
You weren't
hat.
here last week, Scotty. This is Tumblr 1 of 1.
We should autograph it and send it to someone.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
We
That
should
does sound
all
Not that our
autograph it.
not that our
I know this
autographs
is-
are worth anything, but
Shout out to Wes Clark, who not only is a Patreon supporter, but stuck it out for this entire show as he's still continuing to comment with us on YouTube. This was a mess of a show, Wes. So thanks.
you caught us at our bad.
But hey,
Hey.
if you've seen us at our bad, then it only gets better from here.
That's right. Stick around, honestly, on Facebook, and not Facebook, Twitter. I mean, I could put it on Facebook too, but
Twitter. Which one's
Twitter.
that again?
or X or whatever you want to call. I still call it
The-
Twitter, X. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I
That
call it.
thing-
Twitter.
That
Twitter,
thing that-
tweets, retweets.
thing-
I'm still using
yeah.
all the same terms. Call
Yeah,
it
that
what you
thing that
want,
all of
Elon.
us
I'm going to call it Twitter.
weather nerds like to use. I will actually have the day off Friday, and we're not doing like, knock on wood, we are not doing like wall to wall tropical coverage. So I'm going to be out and about on Fridays, so I'll send some videos and put them on our social media pages. No named 2023 storm. But we're coming up on the anniversary of Hurricane Hugo, like in a couple of days.
We are.
That's correct. Yeah, it's a
Our-
week away, I guess.
Our special will be hitting our feed here sooner or later. I might need a week just to restart all the computers, so don't be surprised if you see it next week. All right, Scotty, Frank, thank you, and thanks to all our watchers tonight who stuck through the technical.
I promise
meltdown.
we're not intoxicated.
No, but the
At
computer.
least I'm not.
A little punch drunk, maybe.
No, this was hot. This was hot chocolate. So
freaking Snapple. So I
Yeah.
don't know what Frank.
This was seltzer water with lemon juice. Oh, and a cup provided by
Look at
SCEMD.
did you win
Good
a
old
cup?
SCEMD. No, Melissa gave it to me.
Wow.
Get that
Yeah.
if you fill out the hurricane survey.
But yes, go fill out that hurricane survey. And if you have any questions about your hurricane preparedness level, go to hurricane.sc to get all the tips you need
There you go.
from SCEMD's SC Hurricane Guide.
Only place I'm going now is bed.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Good night.
Night, y'all.
Bye.